we want to present the EAN and Arthur Berndt Award. This year, it has been now 11 years since the EAN, the nonprofit, was formed to serve this network of members. EAN, the network, EAN, the nonprofit, would not exist and would not be here today were it not for the inspiring founding vision and the incredible ongoing dedication and generosity of Anne and Arthur Berndt. And this award has carried additional meaning and significance ever since Anne's passing in 2017. The Anne and Arthur Berndt Award, which EAN's board created in 2013, honors network members who, like Anne during her life and like Arthur to this day, have demonstrated vision, leadership, and commitment to creating a renewable energy future for Vermont. And we award it annually to individuals or organizations that have shown bold leadership in support of efforts to transform Vermont's energy system toward one based on efficiency and renewable energy. The criteria for the award you can see here: extraordinary vision, bold, courageous leadership, support for change at a transformative system-wide level, deep investments in relationships and network capacity for change, commitment to working across diverse perspectives toward a higher goal, and time, commitment, and passion for the cause. To present this year's Anne and Arthur Award, I would like to invite up to the podium EAN board member Richard Cowart and EAN's Deputy Director Kara Robacek.
As is obvious, we're doing this jointly. It's a deep privilege and a personal pleasure to present this award to a woman who is well known to so many in this room, a person who has led with mind, heart, and spirit for 40 years plus, and who has been an inspiration to so many of us, and that is Beth Sachs. So, there's more. I love it that you all applaud just at the mention of her name. For those of you who maybe have not been working in our fields for 40 years, let me mention a few historical highlights. Beth's career in energy efficiency and energy equity goes back to the earliest days of these topics in Vermont. As a partner in the Memphremagog group, she helped to write the state's very first button-up weatherization book, and I think that was in 1982. Many other firsts could be named. There's a long list of things I could say. She was the first to do this. She and Blair have contributed so much. A key part of Beth's contribution to energy policy from the beginning was her steadfast commitment to social equity as an integral element of the clean energy transitions. These are increasingly understood topics today: efficiency, equity, clean energy. You know, we say them so easily now, but this was not true back in the early 1980s. As Gus Seelig commented to me briefly recently, Beth was a spreader of the gospel before there was a gospel to be spread. In 1986, Beth and husband Blair Hamilton founded a little public interest group called the Vermont Energy Investment Corporation. They were, as everybody knows, an incomparable duo, and they both deserve credit for VEIC's great ideas, for attracting a stellar staff, today we also recognize that Beth was absolutely essential to building the institutional powerhouse that VEIC has become under her decades-long role, many roles, but roles as essentially managing director, and the heart and soul of that organization. Beth's commitment to people and her roles as both, I have to hold up two hands here, like practical leader and manager, and also heart and soul of a complex organization in which human relationships were really valued because of Beth's influence on individual people. And her commitment to delivered progress are key elements of VEIC's success. And I should say that all of those characteristics have been really important to me personally. So it gives me like immense pleasure to be able to talk about Beth. And they were important to me as a public official. Indeed, it was the demonstrated competence of VEIC as an institution that allowed public officials in Vermont to create Efficiency Vermont as the entity that we know and love today. Beth guided the evolution of Efficiency Vermont from its inception up to her retirement. Now I'll close here with the words of Rebecca Foster, who now leads VEIC. Beth has been a significant leader and force in clean energy to make sure the benefits of clean energy can reach everyone. Her leadership has been tremendous and is really the North Star that we still follow. And I have to say, I couldn't agree more, and I'm really pleased to be able to be here with Beth today. Now, Cara.
And I have a few more things to say about Beth. So, in addition to having started VEIC and Efficiency Vermont, over the last 15 years or so, Beth has been the chair of the board of the Vermont Energy Education Program. And for 7 of those years, I was the executive director of VEEP. And Beth always was there to support me. She is an amazing mentor to so many people. So Beth, you probably don't know this, but when your name comes up, people gush, and especially groups of women. I've heard you referred to as the mother of our movement. I've heard you referred to, believe it or not, as she's like Mother Earth, like really. So because EAN likes to ground herself in data, I went and did a little bit of digging on women in energy. And in the world as a whole, less than 15% of senior leaders in the energy sector are female. And this room does not reflect that statistic. And you are one of a small, powerful group of women who have made this Vermont energy world so much less gendered than it might be. You've welcomed, mentored, and supported women and others with diverse backgrounds to be comfortable in spaces that aren't always welcoming, and to start to change the narrative about who belongs. There's a quote that's attributed to Sir Isaac Newton that we make progress by standing on the shoulders of giants. Beth does not look like a giant, but she has a giant heart and a giant soul, and I know you all know that. Beth, you always push us gently to do a better job of changing the world, and to not only be more environmentally friendly, but also more equitable and inclusive. You've been and you remain a leader from VEIC to VEEP to Third Act. And so Beth, if your knees and your back sometimes hurt a little bit, it's because there's so many of us standing on your shoulders. And I'm so glad to be with you to give you this award.
This is a small enough group you can see me because I'm probably shorter than the podium anyway.
Want me to hold something?
Nope, I'm going to put that there. So thank you so much, Rich, and thank you, Cara, for all the wonderful things that you said and the support from the board. Sorry. And I want to really thank the Energy Action Network and Arthur Berndt, who I just met, and I'm honored to get this award with your name on it. to contribute, and all the work that we're all doing to contribute to the state's response to climate change. The award is humbling and reassuring, because when you retire, you think you might just go away and disappear. And I've had the opportunity to do a lot more than that because of Third Act and the Vermont Energy Education Program and lots of other things like that that I was going to talk about, but Rich and Cara did it so well, I don't need to. I will say Third Act has been a real blessing and an amazing organization to work with all these other old and bold Vermonters like myself. That's what we call ourselves. And thrilled that our treasurer is supporting the bill that was our really first piece of political action, the divestment of fossil fuels. So Jared called me the other day and he said, you might want to say a few things. And I said, like, what? And he said, well, how did you create the whole idea of an energy efficiency utility? Where does that come from? And I thought, it reminded me of when my son, when he was 5, asked me where babies came from. And I said, well, they come from mommies. And he said, well, where did the first mommy come from? And I kind of have the same feeling about Jared's question. The answer is, I don't know. But I can try. And looking back, I think it's a confluence, I think Rich used that word, of curiosity, creativity, tenacity, and equity coming together at the right time and the right place with the right people. And that's not an accident that it was the right place, the right time, and right people. We created it and made it happen. Let's see. In terms of the right time, I was talking to Rich at lunch, and he reminded me what an amazing job we did putting this together from the very start. And I think that what resonated with me, what drove me, was that we were taking a societal perspective. We weren't looking at one group of people or one market or anything. We were really trying to look at, from a society's perspective, what's the best thing? What can we do to solve these climate problems? It was a touchstone that we kept using and coming back to. Right place. Vermont, some people sometimes think that Vermont is too small to matter. We all know it's not, that we're cutting edge in so many ways. And we have, the thing is, here in Vermont, creating the efficiency utility, we had access to regulators, policymakers, business organizations, IBM, environmental organizations. We could all sit down together and actually work out what an efficiency utility would look like. And where else in Vermont, this was my experience, can you take a walk on the bike path and run into 3 governors or ex-governors in the same afternoon? That's that right place. Right people. Rich already covered this very well, but this is where I joyfully and gratefully get to channel Blair Hamilton, who was my partner in work and life. As people put it at his memorial, an enormous pain in the ass, and just people loved him for it, mostly, no, everyone. And we, together with a lot of amazing people like Rich Cowart and Michael Dworkin, and many regulators and legislators created this thing, and we did it together. We created both VEIC and Efficiency Vermont. So none of those folks that we worked with took no for an answer, and if we ever got no, we just figured out how to turn it into yes. So I have a lot of other anecdotes that I'm not going to say. I have lots of advice. I do want to say, I hope that I'm honored one day with the award that Kelly got, because the fact that you are mentoring young people is what's important. And there's so many young people here today. This is really exciting. My job at this point is to be a resource for you. So if there's any way I can help you, please come find me. And so I was thinking about what's the last advice I could give. Here it is. Understand that you don't know the answer. And then, let's see, show up ask a lot of questions, and very importantly, listen to the answers. Because sometimes we don't do that. And so I think we need to take this approach and this wisdom and experience and act with urgency to save this one sacred place that has the ability to sustain life, and to do it in a way that always respects and is kind to the institutions and the people that we're working with. Thank you.